Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a bright and sunshiny day. Hey, how are you? Well, we might not be moving after all. I should have done stuff to help him a lot sooner. But let's just leave it at that. I'll explain it when everything works out. Ivy, come over here. You gotta lay down and wait. Lay down and wait. You wait patiently. Lay down. Put your head down, baby. Yeah. You have to wait until I say the prayers, and then I'll pick you up. I just told you that. You must be patient. That means you gotta wait until I call you, okay? So yes, I'm gonna be doing a regular devotion today. I am highly thinking of putting it as a video because some of them get really high. You know what I mean? Or I can do it separate videos, like do the daily text, then upload it. Then do lessons you learn from the Bible, upload it. You know what I mean? And sometimes I can do the other one. I don't really know that much, understand it, but I can like pre-read it. Yeah. Oh, excuse me, and do that. I was waiting for that, so it didn't interrupt us. So. You gotta wait, Ivy Josephine. Goofball. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgiven them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, Jehovah, for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. And thank you for what you did for us in the past, present, and what you will do for us in the future. And I'm sorry for the sins I have committed. Jehovah, please forgive me. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Jehovah, please look after Tate, Cindy Lee, King Charles, Chad Griffith, Joe Biden, Michael Bolton, Rick Flair. They all have different stages, they all have cancer, different stages and different kinds. Please give them physical mental strength just to deal with it and get through it, and please cure them. Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome. She has seizures and a lot of pain. Please take that away from her. Sarah has high blood pressure, a tough job, anxieties and stress over that, and in migraines. Please help her with all her trials and ailments, as well as Jess. She has um, migraines as well, high blood pressure, and POTS, diabetes, an eye condition. Um, yeah, just give them, just cure them, cure these ladies, please. And let Jess sleep normally and let her medication work very well so the POTS can go bye-bye. I know it can go into remission. I know it. I heard of it before. And please continue to help Jess's mother to make better choices in her life. And please bless Sarah's family as well as Jess's family and the boys' families, on his father's side. Jenny, Tiffany, Robin Taylor, and new baby, Isla Jade. It's okay, it's not Michelle. Miss Diane and daughters, Arnie, Vicky and family, Carol and family, please help them. In Jesus' name, amen. There we go. How's that? Is that what you want? You want the mama cuddle? You want the mama cuddle? You want to be in the blanket? Hold on, guys. Let me get the papoose ready. There we go. Come here. Ivy, stop. She's arguing with me, and I don't even have her wrapped up yet. Oh, the baby. Yeah. How's that? Huh? There we go. Go to sleep now. You want to see her? Say hello. Say hello. It's Ivy Joe. Boop, boop, dee, doo. Boop, boop. Look at that nose. Yeah. There we go. Now she'll be all set. Okay, let's get this going. She's usually more into the blanket. She was arguing with me while I was trying to do it. Okay, daily text, August 21st, 2025, Thursday. I can't believe it's Thursday already. Haven't heard from Seela. I hope she's okay. She had indigo problems on Tuesday night. I'm like, oh my gosh, the poor woman. Endurance produces an approved condition. Oh, excuse me. Condition. The approved condition. In return, hope. So when an approved condition, it's approved. Then it turns into hope. Right? See, I explained it as best as I can. I told you. I'm not perfect, but if something means different than what I said, well, then please tell me. Or tell me what you think it means. And I'll read it for you. Ivy, what are you doing? Okay. Your endurance brings Jehovah's approval. You know what endurance means, everybody? Well, I think energy, maybe? Let's see if I'm wrong. Probably I am. The fact or power of enduring an unpleasant or difficult process or stimulation without giving way. So, like me, when I told my sister about, I'm a Jehovah's Witness and stuff, then I wasn't technically one. Now I address myself as one now. That was hard, but I still stuck with it, and I'm still gonna do this. If some of my family choose not to talk to me no more, it's their choice, not mine. But I'll always love them. So your endurance brings Jehovah's approval. This does not mean that Jehovah is pleasant that you are experiencing trials or problems. What God approves of is you. Yeah, he approves you yourself. Your endurance results in an approved condition. What an amazing blessing. Psalm chapter 5, verse 12 reads, For you will bless anyone righteous, O Jehovah. You will surround them with approval, as with a large shield. Yeah, he will bless us because of our endurance is getting stronger and stronger, and we're just following through with what we want to do. Hold on, I gotta fix this. This is annoying me. No, Ivy, stop. Stop. Stay. Stay. There we go. Is that better? Yeah. Yeah. She's all the way in the blanket now. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to reread it for you guys. For you will be blessed. I'm sorry. So you will bless anyone righteous, O Jehovah. You will surround them with approval, as with a large shield. So his approval will surround you, like a shield would surround you and protect you. So Jehovah will protect you. Recall that Abraham endured test and enjoyed divine approval. Jehovah viewed him as his friend and counted him as righteous because Abraham was going to follow through with something even though he did not want to do it. Do you remember what that is? Jehovah asked Abraham to take his son Isaac to sacrifice him to Jehovah. When Abraham was about to do it, Jehovah said, "No, don't. I know you're true. I can't remember word for word. I know you are trustworthy, or you follow, I can't remember everything." But after that, he counted him as his friend. Genesis chapter 15, verse 6 reads, "And he put faith in Jehovah, and he counted it to him as righteousness." Yeah, he put faith in Jehovah, and Jehovah's righteousness. Yes, he definitely is righteousness. Romans chapter 4, verse 13, "For it was not through law that Abraham or his offspring had the promise that he should be heir of a world, but it was through righteousness by faith." What? For it was not through law that Abraham or his offspring had the promise that he should be heir of the world, but it was through righteousness by faith. Oh, he earned it because he was righteousness and he had faith in Jehovah. Okay, I got it. Now, number 22. Therefore, it was counted to him as righteousness. Exactly what I just said. Yep. The same can be true for us. God does not base his approval on the amount of work we do in his service or on the privileges we enjoy. He grants his approval because of our faithful endurance. And no matter what our age, circumstance, or ability is, all of us can endure. You are faithfully enduring a trial right now. Wait a minute. Are you faithfully enduring a trial right now? If so, take comfort in knowing that you have God's approval. Realizing that we have God's approval can have a powerful effect on us. It can strengthen our hope. That is for sure. It does strengthen my hope. Yes, yes, yes. So lessons you can learn from the Bible. Lesson 44, a temple for Jehovah. And it's pretty lengthy verses. So, until yesterday, I was extremely tired. I was afraid I might fall asleep in the middle of it. Okay, I want to do that no more. Um, and the day before that, I was busy. I had to get ready for something. Man, yesterday I was like a zombie. I took a nice shower. I mean, it woke me up enough to go to my do my service with Brittany, but I was falling asleep.
Lesson 44. A temple for Jehovah. After Solomon became the king of Israel, Jehovah asked him, "What would you like me to give you?" Solomon said, "I am young, and I do not know what I am doing. Please give me wisdom to take care of your people." Jehovah said, "Because you asked to be wise, I will make you the wisest man on earth. I will also make you very rich, and if you obey me, you will have a long life." Solomon started building the temple. He used the finest gold, silver, wood, and stone. Thousands of skilled men and women worked on the temple. After 7 years, the temple was ready to be dedicated to Jehovah. It had an altar, and there were offerings on it. Solomon knelt in front of the altar and prayed, "O Jehovah, this temple is not big enough or beautiful enough for you, but please accept our worship and listen to our prayers." What did Jehovah think of the temple and of Solomon's prayer? As soon as Solomon finished his prayer, fire came down from the sky and burned up the offerings on the altar. Jehovah approved of the temple. When the Israelites saw this, they rejoiced. King Solomon was known for his wisdom throughout Israel and even in faraway places. People came to Solomon for help with their problems. Even the Queen of Sheba came to test him with difficult questions. When she heard his replies, she said, "I did not believe what people had told me about you. But now I see that you are even wiser than they said. Your God, Jehovah, has blessed you." Life was good for the nation of Israel, and the people were happy. But things were about to change. Look, something more than Solomon is here. Matthew 12:42.
Okay, so look, something more than Solomon is here. So let's, all right, so it reads a bigger one. So Matthew 12:42, I did not write that down. The queen of the south will be raised up in the judgment with the generation and will condemn it. For she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. But look, something more than Solomon is here. Well, Solomon and Jehovah was there, right? And the queen came a long way just to hear Solomon. Yeah. So, oh, hold on. No, there we go. I highlighted the passages. I don't want to do that. Why did Jehovah give Solomon special wisdom? Well, let's go back and read. Sometimes I have to go back. So, okay. So, after Solomon became king, Jehovah asked him, "What would you like me to give you?" Solomon says that he was young. He didn't know what he was doing. He would like wisdom. And Jehovah said, "Because you asked him to be wise, I'm going to make you the wisest man on earth." Because he asked so nicely. So, how did Jehovah show that he approved of the temple? Hold on. Hold on. He approved of the. He approved of it. He approved of it by fire came down and burnt the offerings. Yeah. So, if you think it's a different answer, by all means, put it in the comments below. As long as you're kind and nice, gentle, I would accept it. If you're criticizing stuff, I will just delete the comment and ignore it. Okay? Because we need to have this to stay pleasant. My whole channel needs to be pleasant and happy. Okay? So 1 Kings chapter 2 verse 12 reads, Solomon then sat down on the throne of David, his father, and gradually his kingship became firmly established. Yeah. Yeah. His kingship eventually took hold. So chapter 3 verse 4 through 28 reads, I'm just going to let it play.
The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the most prominent high place. Solomon offered 1,000 burnt sacrifices on that altar. In Gibeon, Jehovah appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what you would like me to give you." At this, Solomon said, "You have shown great loyal love toward your servant David, my father, as he walked before you in faithfulness and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart. You have continued to show him this great loyal love down to this day by giving him a son to sit on his throne. And now, Jehovah my God, you have made your servant king in the place of David my father, though I am just a youth and I am inexperienced. Your servant is among your people whom you have chosen, a people so vast that they cannot be numbered or counted. So grant your servant an obedient heart to judge your people, to discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this numerous people of yours?" It was pleasing to Jehovah that Solomon had requested this. God then said to him, "Because you requested this, and you did not request for yourself long life, or riches, or the death of your enemies, but you requested understanding to hear judicial cases, I will do what you asked. I will give you a wise and understanding heart, so that just as there has never been anyone like you before, there will never be anyone like you again. Furthermore, what you have not requested I will give you, both riches and glory, so that there will be no other king like you in your lifetime. And if you walk in my ways, by keeping my regulations and my commandments, just as David your father walked, I will also give you a long life." When Solomon awoke, he realized that it had been a dream. Then he went to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of Jehovah, and offered up burnt sacrifices and communion offerings, and spread a feast for all his servants. At that time, 2 prostitutes came in to the king and stood before him. The first woman said,
"Please, my lord, this woman and I live in one house, and I gave birth while she was in the house.
Oh, listen to this
On
one.
the 3rd day after I gave birth, this woman also gave birth. We were together, just the 2 of us. There was no one else with us in the house. During the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. So she got up in the middle of the night and took my son from my side while your slave girl was asleep, and laid him in her arms. And she laid her dead son in my arms. When I got up in the morning to nurse my son, I saw that he was dead. So I examined him closely in the morning and saw that it was not my son whom I had given birth to."
But the other woman said,
"No, my son is the living one, and your son is the dead one."
But the first woman was saying,
This is, of course, back then they didn't have DNA testing. You know, I mean, if this happened this time, this day of age, well, of course, they have proof these days with the birth certificates and stuff like that. Hospital records, and I guess if they still, the woman still says it was her child, well, there could be a DNA test. Won't go into foster care until the test comes back. But all they have to do is do a blood test these days. And I don't know. I don't know. Let's just get back to this. I'm wrong, probably.
No, your son is the dead one and my son is the living one.
that is how they argued before the king. Finally, the king said,
This one says, This is my son, the living one, and your son is the dead one. And that one says, No, your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one.
The king said,
Bring me a sword.
so they brought a sword to the king. The king then said,
Cut the living child in two, and give half to one woman and half to the other.
At once, the woman whose son was the living one pleaded with the king, for her compassions were stirred toward her son. She said,
Please, my lord, you should give her the living child. By no means put him to death.
but the other woman was saying,
He will be neither mine nor yours. Let them cut him in two.
Oh,
At that the king answered,
Give the living child to the first woman. By no means put him to death, for she is his mother.
So all Israel heard about the judgment that the king had handed down, and they were in awe of the king, for they saw that the wisdom of God was with him to execute justice.
yes. So a mother, the true mother, agreed to let the other woman have him so he could survive and live. But the other one says, no, he should not be mine or yours. Cut him in half. I mean, if it's your, your own son, you wouldn't cut him in half. But I wouldn't say that about my child. Even if the child wasn't mine, I wouldn't say cut him in half. He says, well, these days I'll say, well, take a DNA test, he'll prove it. Or look at my, uh, I'm a YouTuber, so I'm gonna video everything. Well, not every single thing of the birth, but you know what I mean. Next is chapter 4, verse 29 through chapter 5, verse 18. I'm gonna go to ladies' room first, okay? I'll be right back. Oh, ow, my leg. Let's mute it. Okay, I'm back. So, chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5, verse 18. So,
And God gave Solomon wisdom and discernment in very great measure, and a broadness of heart like the sand on the seashore. Solomon's wisdom surpassed the wisdom of all the people of the East and all the wisdom of Egypt. He was wiser than any other man, wiser than Ethan the Ezrahite, and Heman, Calcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol. His fame spread among all the surrounding nations. He composed 3,000 proverbs.
I'm pausing this, but Hemian? That is a real person, really? Oh.
And his songs numbered 1,005. He would speak about the trees, from the cedar in Lebanon to the hyssop that grows on the wall. He would speak about the animals, the birds, the creeping things, and the fish. People from all the nations came to hear Solomon's wisdom, including kings from all over the earth who had heard about his wisdom.
Lay down. Lay down.
Chapter
Ivy.
5. When Hiram, the king of Tyre, heard that Solomon had been anointed as king in place of his father, he sent his servants to Solomon, for Hiram had always been a friend of David's. In turn, Solomon sent word to Hiram,
You well know that David my father was not able to build a house for the name of Jehovah his God because of the wars waged against him from every side, until Jehovah put his enemies under the soles of his feet. But now Jehovah my God has given me rest on all sides. There is no one opposing me, and nothing bad happening. So I intend to build a house for the name of Jehovah my God, just as Jehovah promised to David my father, saying, Your son, whom I will put on your throne in your place, he is the one who will build the house for my name. Now command your people to cut cedars of Lebanon for me. My servants will work with your servants, and I will pay the wages of your servants according to the rate you set. For you are aware that not one of us knows how to cut trees like the Sidonians.
When Hiram heard Solomon's words, he rejoiced greatly and said,
May Jehovah be praised today, for he has given David a wise son over this great people.
So Hiram sent word to Solomon,
I have heard the message you sent to me. I will do all you desire in providing the cedar and juniper timbers. My servants will bring them down from Lebanon to the sea, and I will make them into log rafts to go by sea to the place that you designate to me. I will have them broken up there, and you can carry them away. In exchange, you will provide the food that I request for my household.
So Hiram supplied all the timbers of cedar and juniper that Solomon desired. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 core measures of wheat as food supplies for his household, and 20 core measures of very fine olive oil. That was what Solomon gave Hiram year after year. And Jehovah gave Solomon wisdom, just as he had promised him. And there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and the two of them made a treaty. King Solomon conscripted men for forced labor out of all Israel. 30,000 men were conscripted. He would send them to Lebanon in shifts of 10,000 each month. They would spend a month in Lebanon and 2 months at their homes. And Adoniram was over those conscripted for forced labor. Solomon had 70,000 common laborers and 80,000 stonecutters in the mountains, as well as Solomon's 3,300 princely deputies, who served as foremen to supervise the workmen. At the king's order, they quarried large stones, expensive stones, to lay the foundation of the house with hewn stones. So Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders and the Gebalites did the cutting, and they prepared the timbers and the stones to build the house.
Okay. So now, chapter 6, verses 37 and 38 reads, In the 4th year, in the month of Ziv, the house of Jehovah had its foundation laid. And in the 11th year, in the month of Bul, B-U-L, that is the 8th month. No, what month? I think that's August. The house was finished in all its detail. And according to its plan, hold on. The house was finished in all its detail according to its plan. So he spent 7 years building it. Wow, 7 years. Okay, next is, it's just telling you yeah. What month is ZIV?
Here's an answer from BibleHub.com.
April and May. That was the month of Z. So their months are usually combined. So what is the month of BUL?
Here's an answer from BibleHub.com.
8th month. 8th month in the 18 years ago. October and November. Wait, what? Oh, so it's different. It's not August. Okay. Is that fascinating? So they asked, what's the 8th month? In October, November. Get to this one, I can say it. So this one is chapter 7. Chapter 7, verse 15 through chapter 8, verse 66. You color, draw, lay back with your eyes closed, whatever. Sometimes I close my eyes when it's a long one. I try not to fall asleep.
Cast the 2 pillars of copper. Each pillar was 18 cubits high, and it took a measuring cord 12 cubits long to encircle each of the 2 pillars. And he made 2 capitals cast in copper to put on the tops of the pillars. One capital was 5 cubits high, and the other capital was 5 cubits high. The capital on top of each pillar had mesh network with wreathed chains, 7 for the one capital and 7 for the other capital. And he made pomegranates in 2 rows around the one network to cover the capitals that were on the top of the pillars. He did the same for both capitals. The capitals on top of the pillars at the porch were of a lily pattern, 4 cubits high. The capitals were on the 2 pillars just above the rounded portion adjoining the network. And there were 200 pomegranates in rows all around on each capital. He set up the pillars of the porch of the temple. He set up the right-hand pillar and named it Jachin. And then he set up the left-hand pillar and named it Boaz. And the top of the pillars were of a lily pattern. So the work of the pillars was completed. Then he made the sea of cast metal. It was circular in shape, 10 cubits from brim to brim, and 5 cubits high. And it took a measuring line 30 cubits long to encircle it. And there were ornamental gourds below its brim, completely encircling it, 10 to a cubit all around the sea, with 2 rows of the gourds cast in one piece with it. It stood on 12 bulls, 3 facing north, 3 facing west, 3 facing and 3 facing east. And the sea rested, and all their hind quarters were toward the center.
Yeah, good girl.
And its thickness was a handbreadth, and its brim was made like the brim, like a lily blossom. It would hold 2,000 bath measures. Then he made the 10 carriages of copper. Each carriage was 4 cubits long, 4 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high. And this was how the carriages were constructed. They had side panels, and the side panels were between the crossbars. And on the side panels between the crossbars were lions, bulls, and cherubs, and the same design was on the crossbars. Above and beneath the lions and the bulls were wreaths in relief. And each carriage had 4 copper wheels and copper axles, and its 4 corner pieces served as supports for them. Beneath the basin were the supports, cast with wreaths at the side of each. Its opening was inside the crown, extending upward 1 cubit, and its opening was round, making up a stand of 1.5 cubits. And on its were engravings, and their side panels were square round. The 4 wheels were below the side panels, and the supports of the wheels were attached to the carriage, and the height of each wheel was 1.5 cubits. And the wheels were made like chariot wheels. Their supports, rims, spokes, and hubs were cast metal. There were 4 supports on the 4 corners of each carriage. Its supports were cast as part of the carriage. On top of the carriage was a circular band, 1/2 cubit high, and on the top of the carriage its framing pieces and its side panels were cast as part of it. On the surfaces of its framing pieces and on its side panels, he engraved cherubs, lions, and palm trees, according to the amount of space on each, with wreaths all around.
So imagine how long it took them to carve the cherubs, lions, and palm trees and the wreaths. Imagine how long and how hard work that is. Just, just think about it.
This is how he made the 10 carriages. They were
So
all
much
cast
passion.
alike, with the same measure and shape. He made 10 copper basins. Each could hold 40 bath measures. Each basin measured 4 cubits. There was 1 basin for each of the 10 carriages. Then he put 5 carriages on the right side of the house, and 5 on the left side, and he placed the sea on the right side of the house toward the southeast. Hiram also made the basins, the shovels, and the bowls. So Hiram finished all the work that he did for King Solomon on the house of Jehovah. The 2 pillars and the bowl-shaped capitals that were on top of the 2 pillars, the 2 networks to cover the 2 bowl-shaped capitals that were on top of the pillars, the 400 pomegranates for the 2 networks, 2 rows of pomegranates for each network to cover the 2 bowl-shaped capitals that were on the 2 pillars, the 10 carriages and the 10 basins on the carriages, the sea and the 12 bowls beneath the sea, and the cans, the shovels, the bowls, and all the utensils which Hiram made of polished copper for King Solomon, for the house of Jehovah. The king cast them in clay molds in the district of the Jordan, between Succoth and Zarethan. Solomon left all the utensils unweighed, because they were in such great quantities. The weight of the copper was not ascertained. Solomon made all the utensils for the house of Jehovah: the altar of gold, the gold table on which to put the showbread, the lampstands of pure gold, 5 on the right and 5 on the left before the innermost room, and the blossoms, the lamps, and the snuffers of gold, the basins, the extinguishers, the bowls, the cups, and the fire holders of pure gold, and the sockets for the doors of the inner house, that is, the most holy, and for the doors of the house of the temple of gold. So King Solomon completed all the work he had to do for the house of Jehovah. Solomon then brought in the things that David his father had made holy, and he put the silver, the gold, and the articles into the treasuries of the house of Jehovah.
All right, I'm confused, really confused. This is the second one I messed up on. It said 66. It does say 866. Oh, sorry, it's not done yet. Sorry, I got so confused. We're going on to chapter 28. Oh, I know. I need a V8, right? Oh, boy.
Chapter 8. At that time, Solomon congregated the elders of Israel, all the heads of the tribes, the chieftains of the paternal houses of Israel. They came to King Solomon at Jerusalem to bring up the ark of the covenant of Jehovah from the city of David, that is, Zion. All the men of Israel assembled before King Solomon at the festival in the month of Ethanim, that is, the 7th month. So all the elders of Israel came, and the priests lifted up the ark. They brought up the ark of Jehovah, the tent of meeting, and all the holy utensils that were in the tent. The priests and the Levites brought them up. King Solomon and the entire assembly of Israel, who had been summoned to meet with him, were before the ark. So many sheep and cattle were being sacrificed that they could not be counted or numbered. Then the priests brought the ark of the covenant of Jehovah to its place, into the innermost room of the house, the most holy, underneath the wings of the cherubs. Thus the wings of the cherubs were spread out over the place of the ark, so that the cherubs overshadowed the ark and its poles. The poles were so long that the tips of the poles were visible from the holy in front of the innermost room, but they were not visible from outside, and they are there to this day. There was nothing in the ark but the 2 stone tablets that Moses placed there at Horeb, when Jehovah made a covenant with the people of Israel while they were coming out of the land of Egypt. The cloud filled the house of Jehovah. The priests were not able to stand to minister because of the cloud, for the glory of Jehovah filled the house of Jehovah. At that said,
Jehovah said he would reside in the thick gloom. I have successfully built a lofty house for you, an established place for you to dwell in forever.
Then the king turned around and began to bless all the congregation of Israel, while all the congregation of Israel stood. He said,
May Jehovah, the God of Israel, be praised, the one who by his own mouth promised my father David, and by his own hand has given fulfillment, saying, From the day I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I have not chosen a city out of all the tribes of Israel in which to build a house for my name to remain there, but I have
Sorry.
chosen David to be over my people Israel. And it was the heart's desire of my father David to build a house for the name of Jehovah, the God of Israel. But Jehovah said to my father David, It was your heart's desire to build a house for my name, and you did well to desire this in your heart. However, you will not build the house, but your own son who is to be born to you is the one who will build the house for my name. Jehovah has carried out the promise that he made, for I have succeeded my father David, and I sit on the throne of Israel, just as Jehovah promised. I have also built the house for the name of Jehovah the God of Israel, and have set up a place there for the ark, containing the covenant that Jehovah made with our forefathers when he was bringing them out of the land of Egypt.
Then Solomon stood before the altar of Jehovah in front of all the congregation of Israel, and he spread his hands out to the heavens, and he said,
O Jehovah, the God of Israel, there is no God like you in the heavens above or on the earth beneath, keeping the covenant and showing loyal love to your servants who are walking before you with all their heart. You have kept the promise that you made to your servant David, my father. You made the promise with your own mouth, and this day you have fulfilled it with your own hand. And now, O Jehovah, the God of Israel, keep the promise you made to your servant David, my father, when you said, there will never fail to be a man of your line before me to sit on the throne of Israel. If only your sons will pay attention to their way by walking before me, just as you have walked before me. And now, O God of Israel, let the promise that you made to your servant David, my father, prove trustworthy, please. But will God really dwell on the earth? Look, the heavens, yes, the heaven of the heavens cannot contain you. How much less then this house that I have built? Now pay attention to the prayer of your servant, and to his request for favor, O Jehovah my God, and listen to the cry for help, and to the prayer that your servant is praying before you today. May your eyes be open toward this house night and day, toward the place of which you said, my name will be there, to listen to the prayer that your servant prays toward this place. And listen to your servant's request for favor, and to the request by your people Israel that they pray toward this place. And may you hear from your dwelling place in the heavens. Yes, may you hear and forgive. When a man sins against his fellow man and is made to take an oath and is brought under liability to the oath, and while under the oath he comes before your altar in this house, may you then hear from the heavens and act and judge your servants by pronouncing the wicked one guilty and bringing what he did on his own head, and by pronouncing the righteous one innocent and rewarding him according to his own righteousness. When your people Israel are defeated by an enemy because they kept sinning against you, and they return to you and glorify your name, and pray and beg you for favor in this house, may you then hear from the heavens and forgive the sin of your people Israel, and bring them back to the land that you gave to their forefathers. When the heavens are shut up, and there is no rain because they kept sinning against you, and they pray toward this place and glorify your name and turn back from their sin because you humbled them, may you then hear from the heavens and forgive the sin of your servants, of your people Israel. For you will instruct them about the good way in which they should walk, and bring rain on your land that you gave to your people as an inheritance. If a famine occurs in the land, or a pestilence, a scorching blight, mildew, swarming locusts, or voracious locusts, or if their enemy besieges them in any of the cities of the land, or if any other sort of plague or disease occurs, whatever prayer, whatever request for favor may be made by any man or by all your people Israel, for each one knows the plague of his own heart, when they spread out their hands toward this house, then may you hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, and may you forgive and take action, and reward each one according to all his ways. For you know his heart. You alone truly know every human heart, so that they may fear you all the days they live on the land that you gave to our forefathers. Also concerning the foreigner who is not part of your people Israel, and who comes from a distant land because of your name, for they will hear about your great name and your mighty hand and your outstretched arm, and he comes and prays toward this house, may you then listen from the heavens, your dwelling place, and do all that the foreigner asks of you, so that all the peoples of the earth may know your name and fear you, as your people Israel do, and may know that your name has been called on this house that I have built. If your people go to war against their enemy in the way that you send them, and they pray to Jehovah in the direction of the city that you have chosen, and toward the house that I have built for your name,
Stop.
then hear from the heavens their prayer and their request for favor, and execute judgment for them. If they sin against you, for there is no man who does not sin, and you are furious with them, and you abandon them to an enemy, and their captors carry them off captive to the land of the enemy, far or near, and they come to their senses in the land where they were carried off captive, and they return to you and beg you for favor in the land of their captors, saying, we have sinned and done wrong. We have acted wickedly. And they return to you with all their heart and all their soul in the land of their enemies who carried them off captive. And they pray to you in the direction of their land that you gave to their forefathers, and of the city that you have chosen, and the house that I have built for your name. Then hear from the heavens, your dwelling place, their prayer and their request for favor, and execute judgment for them, and forgive your people who have sinned against you, forgiving all their transgressions they committed against you. You will make them objects of pity before their captors, and they will pity them, for they are your people and your inheritance, whom you brought out of Egypt from inside the iron smelting furnace. May your eyes be open to your servant's request for favor, and to the request for favor by your people Israel, by listening whenever they call to you. For you set them apart as your inheritance out of all the peoples of the earth, just as you declared through Moses your servant when you were bringing our forefathers out of Egypt, O sovereign Lord Jehovah.
And as soon as Solomon finished offering to Jehovah this entire prayer and request for favor, he rose up from before the altar of Jehovah, where he had been kneeling with his hands spread out to the heavens. He then stood and blessed all the congregation of Israel with a loud voice, saying,
Praised be Jehovah, who has given a resting place to his people Israel, just as he promised. Not one word of all his good promise that he made through Moses his servant has failed. May Jehovah our God be with us, just as he was with our forefathers. May he not abandon us, nor forsake us. May he draw our heart toward himself, to walk in all his ways, and to keep his commandments, his regulations, and his judgments, which he commanded our forefathers to observe. And may these words of mine, with which I have begged Jehovah for favor, be near to Jehovah our God by day and night, that he may execute judgment for his servant, and for his people Israel as each day requires, so that all the peoples of the earth may know that Jehovah is the true God. There is no other.
Nope.
So let your heart be complete with Jehovah our God by walking in his regulations and by keeping his commandments as on this day.
So uncomfortable.
Now the king and all Israel with him offered a grand sacrifice before Jehovah. Solomon.
Hold on, so I'm not over talking it. Ivy, lay down now. Lay down. All right, you're okay. I'm right here. All right, I'm right here. She has to learn she can't be held 24/7. All right.
Offered the communion sacrifices to Jehovah. He offered 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep.
Ivy, off.
Thus the king and all the Israelites inaugurated the house of Jehovah.
Oh my gosh.
On that day, the king had to sanctify the middle of the courtyard that is before the house of Jehovah. For there he had to offer up the burnt sacrifices, the grain offerings, and the fat pieces of the communion sacrifices. Because the copper altar that is before Jehovah was too small to contain the burnt sacrifices, the grain offerings, and the fat pieces of the communion sacrifices. At that time, Solomon held the festival together with all Israel, a great congregation from Lebo-Hamath down to the Wadi of Egypt, before Jehovah our God for 7 days, and then another 7 days, 14 days in all. On the following day, he sent the people away. And they blessed the king and went to their homes rejoicing and feeling glad of heart over all the goodness that Jehovah had shown to David his servant and Israel his people.
Yes. All right, so now it's chapter 10, 1 through 16, 1 through 13.
Now the queen of Sheba heard the report about Solomon in connection with the name of Jehovah, so she came to test him with perplexing questions. She arrived in Jerusalem with a very impressive entourage, with camels carrying balsam oil and great quantities of gold and precious stones.
Come on, baby.
She went in to Solomon and spoke to him about everything that was close to her heart. Solomon then answered all her questions.
You're annoying.
There was nothing too difficult for the king to explain to her.
Sorry. I'm going to rewind
When
it.
the queen, she went into the impressive entourage, with camels carrying balsam oil and great quantities of gold and precious stones. She went in to Solomon and spoke to him about everything that was close to her heart. Solomon then answered all her questions. There was nothing too difficult for the king to explain to her. When the queen of Sheba had seen all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he built, the food of his table, the seating of his servants, the table service of his waiters and their attire, his cupbearers, and his burnt sacrifices that he regularly offered up at the house of Jehovah, she was left completely breathless. So she said to the king,
"The report that I heard in my own land about your achievements and about your wisdom was true. But I did not put faith in the reports until I had come and had seen it with my own eyes. And look, I had not been told the half. You have far surpassed in wisdom and prosperity the report that I heard. Happy are your men, and happy are your servants who stand before you constantly, listening to your wisdom. May Jehovah your God be praised, who has taken pleasure in you by putting you on the throne of Israel. Because of Jehovah's everlasting love for Israel, he appointed you as king to administer justice and righteousness.
Then she gave the king 120 talents of gold and a great amount of balsam oil and precious stones. Never again was such a quantity of balsam oil brought in as what the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Hiram's fleet of ships that carried gold from Ophir also brought from Ophir algum timbers in very great quantity and precious stones. The king made from the algum timbers supports for the house of Jehovah and for the king's house, as well as harps and stringed instruments for the singers. Such algum timbers have never again been brought in or seen down to this day.
Wow.
King Solomon also gave the Queen of Sheba whatever she desired and asked for, in addition to what he gave her out of his own generosity. After that, she left and returned to her own land together with her servants.
Okie dokie. Now it's 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 1 reads, Now as soon as Solomon had finished praying, fire came down from the heavens and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and Jehovah's glory filled the house. Ah, I don't think I need to explain that. What it means to me, it means Jehovah was very pleased with the praying and with the temple and everything, that he consumed the burnt offerings and the sacrifices. Chapter 9, verse 22 reads, So King Solomon was greater than all the other kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. So he wasn't just rich, he had the most wisdom. And do you remember why? Jehovah gave him wisdom because he asked to be wise. He believes in Jehovah and he follows Jehovah. Even when you think it's tough, follow Jehovah. Love, don't judge. Until next time, my jelly beans.